What is up, guys? It's Sandal from Substance Overstyle, and welcome to a new video. Okay, so today I want to talk about, are you on your highest timeline? And yeah, I've just been like downloading loads of thoughts about it. I'm also going to answer questions that you guys asked me on my little Instagram Q&A poll. So if you guys did post a question in there and you're wondering why I just like ignored it for 2 days, it's because I want to answer it here in video format, because I feel like, you know, on Instagram I have to just write so much text and I just don't feel like you only get a few seconds to read it, and probably only a few people are actually pausing it long enough to read it. So, well, I don't know why do I have that dominant assumption? Maybe loads of people are pausing it to read it, but it's just very text heavy. I know I don't really like reading Insta stories that are really text heavy. And if I do it video, like the story always runs out before I finish answering the question, because some of the questions are kind of deep. So I'm just going to do it here for the time being now. So this is where your questions will be answered. If you also want to ask questions in the comment box, then I'll try and answer those in the next video as well. Okay, so highest timeline. So are you on your highest timeline? Okay, firstly, what is a highest timeline? So basically, if you guys are familiar with the idea of parallel universes, it's the idea that there's a parallel universe in which every single possibility, every single combination of circumstances exists somewhere in the multiverse, okay? And every time you make a decision, you are creating a new parallel universe. That's how powerful you are as a stream, an emanation of God's source, okay? You are imbued with the same creative, not the same, but you're imbued with kind of like similar creative ability to manifest universes through the power of your mind. We do this at the causal level. So, you know, as multidimensional beings, we obviously have a physical body, we have an emotional body, we have a causal body. And at the causal level, we are literally just beings that are comprised of just pure thought. And they talk about this in Autobiography of a Yogi. So those of you who have read that, causal beings can literally just, you know, create entire universes just by using the power of their mind. So every time you make a decision, like for example, I just made the decision to pick up that water bottle, I've now created a new timeline, a new parallel reality in which I did this, and it will be very subtly different from the timeline in which I didn't pick this up. Now I'm going to take a sip of water. I've just created a new parallel reality, and there will be another one where I'm just holding it. So we are always shifting realities, and we can shift between them. We can, you know, jump to previous ones or past ones just by using the power of our thought and our intention. And we do this imperceptibly, so you don't notice that you're shifting timelines. Sometimes I notice that I've shifted a timeline. If, for example, sometimes I notice objects go missing. If you ever notice that objects literally disappear and like they just vanish into thin air, it's often because you've shifted a timeline, and that object, you might have done a very radical jump for whatever reason. Currently we've had so much intense space weather and you know, intense solar flares and things like that hitting the planet right now. So the planet's kind of being upgraded. The Schumann resonance is increasing really, really rapidly, and we're going through a massive ascension process. So it's normal that from time to time we will make massive quantum jumps into different timelines, and certain objects will get lost. I've had things like, you know, puts down like a set of keys or like a power bank, and like literally 5 minutes later it's not there anymore, and then never to be seen again. Or sometimes it shows up again in the same place or in a slightly different place. So, you know, for some people who, you know, who have noticed things like that, they just think that they're going crazy and that their memory is failing. But, you know, often it's because you're shifting timelines. So everybody has a highest timeline, then they have medium timelines, and then they have a low timeline. Now, how do you know which timeline that you're on? You can basically, if you find yourself looping in karmic lessons and your life is not going, you're not on your purpose, you're not on your mission, you don't have your healthy relationship, you don't have your union, okay? You maybe everything's going wrong in your life, you're not enjoying your job, you know, you're wondering why things are all going wrong, then you're probably not on your highest timeline, okay? So how do we align with our highest timeline? Aligning with your highest timeline involves you getting really, really fucking honest with yourself and connecting to the inner wisdom of the body, because the body is the subconscious mind. The body is the feminine, the divine feminine, okay? So when we connect to the body, it gives us these gut feelings, it gives us these intuitions, okay? And it tells us whether we want to do something or not. So for example, if somebody comes to you and they want you to, like, let's say somebody messages you and they say, hey, I would really love to, you know, would you like to go for a coffee? And you don't really want to go, like you don't like this person, you don't really feel like you're going to get anything of benefit out of this coffee and this time that you're going to invest in hanging out with this person, and your body's telling you, like, you're getting this gut feeling like you don't want to go, like you're not getting an excited feeling about it, you're getting like maybe like a weird feeling or like a hesitation feeling, and you don't listen to that, okay? You just out of politeness, you agree to go for the coffee, and then when you go, something really bad happens, okay? That is usually your higher self's way of telling you this is not your highest timeline, okay? And I'm going to keep telling you that it's not your highest timeline by making you feel really weird, by making you feel anxious, by making you feel uncomfortable, by allowing bad things to happen to you so that you feel so uncomfortable that you start choosing a higher timeline, okay? So that you start seeking answers, so that you start seeking the truth. When you start to listen to your body about what you want to do, about what is a yes and what is a no, what is a fuck yes and what is a fuck no, and what is a maybe, okay? So maybe feelings can be a little bit more difficult to discern. Maybe feelings are you need to advocate for yourself, okay? You need to negotiate the terms of the arrangement, whatever it is. So, you know, if somebody wants to meet with you for a coffee, you just say, you know, you just tune into your body. How do I feel? And your body, okay, this is a hierogamical process, okay? Your body, which is the subconscious mind, which is the divine feminine, it's where your emotions reside. You tune into your emotions and you find out, you trace through the emotion, what is the thought that is causing this emotion, this feeling, okay? What is the story that I'm telling myself, okay? So if you have like a hesitation or a constriction or like an anxious feeling, okay, you tune into it, you ask, what is this, okay? And sometimes it will tell you something. It will tell you something like, this person just wants, you know, this person just wants to try and date you or fuck you. Like, that's all they want. Like, they're not really, like, it's not like a platonic situation. Maybe it's a guy who wants to meet you for a coffee and you're not into him like that. And you know that this person is, you know, trying to make it like a date situation, but like in a way that seems that you're going to agree to it. Or this person just wants to pick my brain and just wants access to, you know, the knowledge and the wisdom that I've spent years acquiring, and wants to just get it for free and wants me to spend my time doing it as well. So whatever it is, the story, okay? And it's okay. So I can hear people in the back going, well, how do I know that that story is not just my own story? How do I know that, you know, it might just be me telling myself that because if I've experienced that before, it might not actually be the truth. Your assumptions about people get projected onto the external hologram and collapse into reality, okay? This is the law of correspondence. It's the second hermetic principle, okay? It's also known as the law of assumption. If you believe that somebody is, you know, doing that, or somebody wants to fuck you, or if somebody, you know, wants to scam you or whatever, if you have that story running, that will often collapse into reality so that you can see your dominant assumptions, because you are that powerful. Okay, I've talked about this before. Like when you have an intuitive feeling, I've heard people say, like, I had an intuitive feeling that they were going to fire me. And then when my boss called me into the office, I knew he was going to fire me, and then he did fire me. And it's just like, okay, yes, it's intuition, and yes, okay, you have the gift of prophecy and you're psychic and all of that stuff. But it's that's not the only thing that's going on there. You're actually manifesting it, okay? Because you probably have a story going that they don't appreciate you, that they don't value you, that they're going to fire you eventually, okay? So you need to look at that, okay? Because everything that we see is a mirror of what's going on within us. It's either our story that we tell ourselves about ourselves, or it's a story that we've told about, a belief system that we have about the world. Okay, it gets mirrored back to us. That's why so many of us who, particularly with angelic starseeds, of which there are loads in the kind of truth-seeking community, have a belief system that this world is evil, or that the evil is running rampant in this world. And so that's why we see it, okay? That's why we don't just see it, we seek it out, okay? Maybe we saw it very early on, okay? I know for me that was true. Very, very early on, I realised that there's something really fucked up going on here on the planet. And so I continue to see that. I continue to see that reflected back at me, because that is my dominant assumption about the world. Okay, when we talk about like muggles, for example, who cannot see what's going on, they don't have the dominant assumption that the world is a unfriendly place, okay? And that's why they don't see it, because that isn't their reality, okay? I'm not saying that each individual person creates the entire universe. We all create our own reality tunnel within the shared hologram, okay? And each one of us, those tunnels intersect and create the collective hologram. So each one of us is perceiving reality as a mirror of what's going on within that person individually, okay? So those of us who see certain things, see certain evil things, it's for us to heal that within ourselves. And as we heal that within ourselves, then we create a reality tunnel which is more loving, and that is more empathetic, and that is more kind. And then by extension, by living that as a positive example to people, we create reality tunnels of that frequency that then intersect and collapse out dark systems, okay? So this is really, I'm going quite deep now. So, you know, I hope that you're all still with me and that you understand. Okay, so your highest timeline has written into it your divine mission that you're here to do, okay? It has your union, your true beloved, okay? That relationship that is going to help support your divine mission, okay? And it has your highest relationship with God's source, okay? So all your what's the word, your gifts and your multi-dimensional abilities will start to come online as you remove the overlays that are blocking your ascension to your highest timeline, okay, that keep you stuck and looping in lower timelines. So how do we do this, okay? This is a hierogamical process, okay, and it involves you marrying your internal masculine, feminine energies together, okay? What does that mean? Like I said, listening to the body, the divine feminine, okay, the intuitive, the emotional, and then tracing that back to find out what the thought is. Thought is masculine consciousness, okay? So you connect to the divine masculine within you and find what is the thought, what is the story that I'm telling myself that's causing me to feel this way, that's causing reality to collapse into this reflection of what is happening to me, or what I'm creating actually, okay? And then you tell yourself a new story. Okay, so you start to connect with what is it that I really, really want to be doing, okay? Because when you start saying yes to things that you don't want to be doing, you are saying no to what it is that you truly do want to be doing, what you're supposed to be doing, okay? Your divine mission is encoded in your desire, okay? Again, with the divine feminine, you've got to start connecting to your desire, to your womb, to your sacral energy, okay, your emotions, okay, and that will tell you where your highest timeline is, okay? And it may not be you going from like here straight up to the highest timeline. It may be a gradual process, okay? For me, it was a very gradual process. I kind of went from like modeling and loving it, and you know, I was really enjoying the travel and the creativity and all of that stuff, but I felt like, you know, I was doing so much. I was spending all my time just researching, like, you know, esoteric wisdom. Any book that I could get my hands on esoteric wisdom, I'd be reading, you know, behind the scenes on shoots. I'd be reading, you know, in the waiting line at castings. I'd be reading in airport lounges. You know, I was constantly obsessed with studying this stuff. So I knew that that was where I was going. That was where my highest timeline was, somewhere to do with the things that I was studying. So the way I started tuning into my desire, I started tuning into the creative visions that I was receiving. And I thought, why don't I do a sustainable clothing line? Because that's what I was seeing the problems around me. I was seeing how terrible the fashion industry was, and how, you know, all the overconsumption, and obviously traveling the world, I could see the impact that it was having on the rest of the world, and, you know, the people who, you know, at all levels of society, who have been kind of left out of this system that we've constructed that only benefits the few at the expense of the many. So I was just like, okay, maybe I can do something to help. I love, you know, being creative. I love designing. You know, I trained as a fashion designer before I went into, not before I went into modeling, but while I was modeling. And then got too busy with modeling and didn't go back to it for several years. So I was just like, okay, maybe I can do something with that. Maybe I can do a sustainable clothing line. Maybe it's going to be like made by artisans and, you know, give back to that community. And so I started studying and I started researching like how to build a business and, you know, how to market it and all of that stuff. And during that process, I had to go down that path to align with my highest timeline, which is what I'm doing now with the coaching and the healing work. I never would have thought that everything was guiding me towards this. I did not know that this was what I wanted to do, okay? Because I did not know that this was a thing. I didn't know that this was a thing, okay? Until I started doing the work to, you know, to launch my clothing line. And when I started to know that this was a thing, and to start to see it as a viable career option where people are actually making enough money to be able to sustain themselves, then I started to want it, okay? So my desire started to shift. So you have to trust the process, okay? Aligning with your desire may take you in directions that you never thought possible, but follow that path anyway, okay? So this is what I'm saying about purpose and finding your purpose. You may not know what it is in the beginning, because where you are, you're not even in the realm of, you know, being around the type of inspiration that you need to feed the desire that's going to lead you to your ultimate purpose. And my purpose will totally change. I mean, you know, not even may, I know it will, because as I continue to go down this path, I'm sure that more things are going to come to me, and I'm going to want to evolve in bigger and bigger ways. So, and it's not, again, it's not like, you know, maybe you have a day job and you're not really fulfilled with your day job, but it's keeping you safe and it's keeping you paying the bills. And maybe you do want to do something like, you know, coaching or healing or running a men's circle or, you know, launching a business that's going to help the world in some type of way. But you have fear and resistance and blocks around, you know, quitting your day job. Well, that's there for a reason, okay? Yes, you can do energy work to clear it. You can definitely do, and I needed to do energy work to clear my fears of success and my fears of doing the work and showing up, and, you know, and that's helped tremendously. And I do recommend that. But sometimes your fear is there for a reason as well, because maybe you're not supposed to give up your day job, okay? Because, you know, a lot of people who sell like coaching programs and things like that, well, you know, trying to sell you on this idea that you're going to be making 5-figure months and, you know, all of that stuff. And you know, I'm not saying that that can't happen. A lot of those are, you know, to put it completely bluntly, are Luciferian harvesting schemes. They're pyramid schemes that basically mimic, and they talk about quantum codes and things like that, because they mimic the architecture of reality within this matrix, which is harvesting and siphoning. So, you know, if you look at the feudalistic hierarchy that we exist within via the systems of government and the fiat currency system, for those of the people that have researched it, will know that there's this siphoning of energy at the top. So every transaction that you make using fiat currency, you know, a percentage of that, the interest from that needs to go back to repay back the Bank of England or the Federal Reserve, which then continues a cycle of inflation and debt. And it's coming to the point now where people are starting to see this, because inflation has now gone through the roof, which is why the financial system is going to need a big reset, which is already happening. But, you know, a lot of these kind of coaching programs that a lot of people sell, saying, you know, you could have like a 5-figure month, and, you know, and you can be up and running in several months, and, you know, if you do the work, I mean, yeah, you can. Like, you can sell somebody a £2,000 package, and if you know, sell 10 of those, then, you know, you can have like a 20 grand month, and you just teach them how to do exactly the same. That's a pyramid scheme. So I'm not talking about that, okay? I'm talking about like genuinely doing the work and, you know, like selling actual real services that actually really help people and transform their lives in a way where it's not just about, you know, funneling money into the harvesting scheme, the pyramid, okay? Like actually making genuine change to people's lives, whatever it is, whatever service that you're wanting to sell people, or whatever it is that you're wanting to do in terms of your mission, okay? Now, and this is for the girls, maybe your mission is, you know, not to have a big business and be a boss babe and all of that stuff, which is, you know, totally fine and totally acceptable for women to aspire to be mothers and to raise strong, healthy children, that the next generation is strong and healthy, and, you know, we can preserve, you know, the future generations going forward so that they're not all enslaved and socially conditioned, and, you know, all the problems that we've had on this planet for such a long time, we can start to repair some of those, okay? The role of the mother is highly, highly important, and it's time we woke up to that fact and understood that it's perfectly acceptable for a woman to have as her mission in life to be a mother, okay? So obviously aligning with that mission and that highest timeline is, I don't want to say it's more difficult, but it involves somebody else, okay? You have to align with another person who is obviously wants that too, okay? And this is why I say that when you're on your highest timeline, you will have that union, okay? The reason why is because as you start to, you know, balance and integrate your energies, your masculine and feminine energy. So, you know, if you're more feminine energy and you're more like surrendered and you're more like trusting the process and flow and following your desire, you start to establish structure, okay? It's important to establish structure. That will be, for me, establishing structure, having a healthy night routine and a healthy morning routine has been life-changing, okay? There's a reason why that's talked about so much in personal development spaces, because it will really change your life, okay? It'll make you excited to get up in the morning and, you know, and do what it is that you, not just what you need to do, what you get to do, because you're on your highest timeline, so you're so fucking pumped about your mission. I just realised that I forgot to say something previously about the day job. But I'll come back to it. Let's continue talking about the mother. Okay, when you align with your highest timeline and balance your energies, if you're more masculine energy and, you know, all about focus and the mission and, you know, being very one directional, you start to connect to your heart, okay? You start to be more aligned with the feminine principle of care and compassion, and you start to make sure that the direction that you're moving into serves the all and not just the me, okay? You become not so just service to self, but also service to others as well, because you cannot serve yourself without serving others, okay? If you're going to be like making money and bringing in loads of abundance and things like that, you have to be making change. You have to be helping people, otherwise no one's going to give you money, right? If you do, you know, try one of these Luciferian harvesting systems, eventually it will collapse because it's based on faulty codes, okay? You have to actually be genuinely helping people with their lives. So what happens is when you start to align with your mission and balance your energies and your highest timeline, you start to get really, really clear, not just on, you know, how you feel and what you're thinking, but you start to align with God, with God's source, okay? Because that's what that is, okay? How do I explain this? Okay, you start an alchemical process within your light body with the masculine and feminine energies moving up the spine, okay? It's sacred union. And that sends in streams of wisdom from your creator, okay? You start to receive those divine streams when you start to connect with the wisdom of the body and start to trace back any emotions to the origin wound. You literally start talking to God, okay? And God will give you all the information that you need to align yourself with that higher timeline. Okay, and so what happens then is you're so sure who you are and what you're here to do that you start to become less and less compatible with just anyone, okay? You become more choosy, much more choosy. And I mean, you could argue that, oh, this makes it more difficult to find someone. Not really, because when you have that frequency, you start to magnetize more people to you, but you start to become genuinely more picky because you are looking for that person that matches your mission exactly. So for example, if you're a woman and you get really, really clear on the fact that you want to be a wife and a mother, because too many women have suppressed this, okay? We've been told that, you know, it's more cool to be empowered, it's more cool to be a boss babe, and being a wife and a mother is like disempowered, wounded feminine, all of that shit, okay? Which is not true. Being a wife and being a mother is one of the most sacred missions that you can have on this planet, okay? God chose us for that, to be the guardians of the next generation, okay? The hand that rocks the cradle rules the nation, okay? That quote isn't there for nothing, okay? So you will start to then align with somebody that has that shared mission, okay? So you'll unify with a man who, you know, is on his mission, and, you know, he wants to do that mission, and he wants to be a provider, and he wants to be a protector and a father, and he needs a wife and a mother to raise his children and to support him in his mission, okay? And his mission becomes your mission as well, okay? You start to support his mission. It doesn't have to be like this, by the way. You can have your own mission as a woman. It depends on where your energies are, okay? Because you know, when I talk about Hyros Gamos, it doesn't mean that everybody's completely balanced and neutral and, you know, like 50-50, okay? Some people are naturally more feminine, some people are naturally more masculine, and that is their true authentic expression, okay? There's actually no such thing as more feminine or more masculine, because if you have a more outwardly masculine expression, your feminine, your inner feminine, your anima is more feminine. So a guy who's more masculine, more macho, will actually have a very soft feminine core, okay? Same with a woman. A woman that's why we magnetize the opposite of that, okay? That's why women who are really feminine tend to attract men who are really, really masculine, because they represent the internal anima or animus, okay? These are Jungian terms. Anton LaVey also talks about this in The Satanic Witch, okay? So I'm not saying that this is satanic, okay? This is esoteric wisdom, i.e. hidden wisdom, that can be used as knowledge, right? It can be used for good, or it can be used for evil. It can be used to deceive and manipulate people, or it can be used to align you with your highest timeline, okay? So don't take it like that. It's just the nature of reality and the way that, you know, our light bodies are structured. So what am I saying? Okay, so you as a woman can have your own mission of what you're here to do, okay, and you can align with a man who also has a similar mission or wants to support you in your mission, or you can support each other in your missions, and it can end up becoming a shared mission, okay? So the compatibility will start to become, you will start to become way, way more selective about who you allow into your field. You won't, like, for example, if you become really honest with yourself as a woman that you want to be a wife and a mother, you're not going to date guys who are just looking to fuck around, right? Because they don't align with your highest timeline, and that's going to waste your time, and it's going to pull you off your highest timeline. So the more you listen to yourself and your intuition and your gut and, you know, what your heart and your body wants, because you start, when you align with that, you start to become sacred to yourself. Okay, you start to really get, because too many women are afraid to admit that that's what they want, And when you're not afraid to admit that that's what you want, you start to field out all the losers and the fuckboys and the dusties who don't want to give you what you want. You're either repelled by them, or they will be repelled by you as well, because sometimes, you know, when a guy rejects us, it's not because, you know, we're not chosen or we're not good enough. It's because he knows he's not good enough for you. He knows he can't meet your standards, and that if he stays around and tries, he's just going to feel like a loser, because men need to feel like they're winning with you, okay? And if your standards are up here, and it's okay to have standards up here, a lot of men are not going to be able to fulfill them because they're not ready yet, okay? I'm not saying that guys don't want, you know, marriage and to be fathers. Ultimately, I personally believe that most people, if they're really true, if they really get clear with themselves, and underneath all the overlays and the layers of trauma and the limiting beliefs and the programming from, you know, parents' relationships that didn't work out and things like that, when they really, really get honest with themselves, probably do want that. That's what I believe. And the more you start to clear the limiting belief that people don't want that, the more you'll actually start to expect it from the people that you are dealing with and the people that you're dating. And when you start to expect it, you're more likely to find it, okay? Because you will have the dominant assumption that that is what people want, that that is the ultimate, and you won't be embarrassed to ask for it or expect it. Okay, so what was I saying? I want to go back to the point where I was talking about, you know, when you have the fear about giving up the day job, okay? It might be because you're not supposed to give up the day job, okay? This has come up for me quite a lot recently with clients, particularly my male clients, because my male clients are extremely mission focused. Not just because men and the masculine tends to be mission focused, but also because they know that they have to be in order to magnetize their union, because women don't date losers. They don't date men who are wishy-washy and don't know what the fuck they're doing. Not high value women anyway. They might, you know, attract women who are like pick-me's or who don't know their own worth and their own value. So that's why men are so mission focused as well. It's not because they care more about the mission than they care about women. It's because they have to care about the mission in order to get women to care about them. So some of the men that I've been working with recently feel like this, you know, they maybe have this, they know what their mission is, they know what they want to do, but they have fears and blocks and resistance because, you know, maybe the job that they're doing, the day job that they're doing, is, you know, keeping that safety and that security of paying the bills and everything, and they fear that making the jump, they won't be able to, you know, make the money that they need to in time to support themselves and even support a family if that's what they want eventually. And maybe you're not supposed to give up your day job. Maybe your mission is supposed to be a side hustle for the time being. That's okay. That's totally fine. Like, it's totally fine to have a side hustle. I feel like everyone has a side hustle nowadays. Most of the people that I meet anyway have a side hustle nowadays, and their side hustle is the passion project. And the day job doesn't just provide the safety and the security, but it also provides the access to, firstly, the access to all the knowledge base and the skills and, you know, all the things that you've acquired in order to do the mission. It could be your training, it could be your contacts. So super much about the contacts, okay? Like when I finished my training, there was a moment where, excuse me, I'm just burping, I don't know why, where I was just like, yes, I'm going to go fully into this, and I'm just so much more about this work and so much more lit up by this. I'm going to quit modeling and I'm just going to do this and fuck modeling. And I was talking to my mentor, Emily Harris, and I mentioned that, and she goes, really, you're quitting modeling? Why would you quit modeling? And then I just thought about it, and I'm like, well, why would I quit modeling? And I thought about it, and I was like, do I really want to quit modeling? And then the more I started doing this work, I didn't quit modeling right away, because obviously modeling pays well, and, you know, it takes time to build up a client base when you're doing this type of work. The more I started doing this work, okay, I'm super pumped about this work, and I love doing this work, and all the clients that I've had, and, you know, where we work one-on-one. Excuse me. I hate when my camera does this. Come on, focus. Focus. How do I make it focus? Does anyone know how to use this camera? Anyway, okay, it's just out of focus now, so we're just gonna have to deal with it. yeah, what was I saying? I'm absolutely pumped about doing this work, and I love getting the feedback from my clients saying that they've noticed so many things dropping out and they really feel aligned with their highest timeline, and you know, they've found that women are more magnetized to them, men are more magnetized to them. They really feel a sense of purpose and mission in what they're doing, and so it gets me super, super pumped. But at the same time, like, I'm indoors all the time, okay? I make these videos indoors. I'm at my desk or sat on the bed when I'm doing the calls with clients. So I don't really have an opportunity and it's great because that's what I wanted. Like, I wanted to manifest a career that I can do from anywhere, as long as I have like an internet connection, that I can do from home, that I can do from the beach, that I can live anywhere in the world and be completely location independent and still run my business, okay? So that is now what I'm starting to manifest, and it's amazing and I love it. But at the same time, I think if I did this full time, I would really miss getting dressed up and going out of the house and, like, you know, going either on the subway or the tube or the bus or a taxi or whatever, and going to a studio and meeting people and interacting with people in the real world, and, you know, like touching people, have them touch me, you know, just social contact. And being creative. Like, I love being creative. So for me, like, you know, modeling in the beginning, when, you know, I had this dream of being a model and I wasn't a model, and, you know, it was the, you know, the pictures that I'd see in magazines, and I wanted to create the pictures, and I wanted to be in magazines, and I wanted to make those pictures and have people look at them and admire me and the status and all of that stuff, and followers and all of those things that I wanted to manifest. Once I got there, I was just like, okay, unbothered. Not that I don't feel different, okay? You do start to feel different on the journey. It does change your perception of yourself, and you start to step more and more into who you are. Okay, but for me now, it's about the purity of it. I'm doing it still, A, because it pays bills, and B, because I love it. And you don't have to have any more reason for doing anything other than that, okay? If you genuinely enjoy making jewelry with your hands for no other reason than you just enjoy it, it puts you in a good headspace. You feel good when you do it. It's not about the finished product. It's not about it's not even about the impact that it has on other people. It doesn't have to be. It can just be about you, okay? So start really connecting with your desire. Start really connecting with what lights you up, what fills you with joy. Don't give up the day job. I'm not telling you to give up the day job and go full pelt into doing what you think is your mission and purpose, okay? Just start getting really, really clear on what makes you happy and what you want to achieve and what you want to manifest, and it will change, okay? It will change over time. It will evolve. That's okay. You don't have to think too far with this stuff, okay? Because I think sometimes thinking too far ahead is what blocks us. Definitely it was with me, with my clothing line, okay? I was just having so much delays. I was having so many delays with the factories that I was working with. I'm now on like my fourth factory, or my fourth like production house, because, you know, I could say that it's because in the ethical fashion industry, you know, people aren't really properly trained, and the garment that I want to do is too heavily articulated and too complicated for their skills, and you know, the world's not really caught up yet with that, and I could make all those excuses, but actually I know that the delays were mirroring back the resistance that I had within my own field about doing it. Because I had this belief that once I launched the business, it would completely take over my life and I wouldn't have any free time. Okay, so you need to get clear on what are your limiting beliefs, where is the resistance coming from, what's the block, what's the delay. Okay, and as soon as I got clear with that and realized that that was the reason, I sat with myself and I was just like, is that really true though? Do you really think that when your business launches, it's just going to take off and everything's going to be flying off the shelves and you're going to be so busy? Or do you think maybe you'll launch it and maybe it won't take off straight away? Probably that's more likely. I mean, if I want it to take off and be super successful and be a hit, you know, from the first season, the whole first season just completely sells out, or like the first drop completely sells out, because my brand is going to be seasonless. And I'm still doing it, by the way, because I want to, and because I've invested too much time and money into it to just let it go. So I'm still going to do it, okay? So your mission and your purpose can be multiple things. It doesn't have to be one thing. I got clear and I was just like, okay, I don't want it to take off. Like, that's my fear, that it's going to completely take over my life and I'm not going to have any free time. I do want to still have free time. I don't want my life to be completely taken over. I don't want to have the kind of life where entrepreneurs talk about how hard it is and how challenging it is, and if they knew it would be so stressful and that they get no sleep. It doesn't have to be like that. You can do it, you can have it, your entrepreneurial journey can be however you want it to be, okay? You decide. If you want to be super busy and you want to be rushed off your feet and you want to not get any sleep, that's up to you. But you can also grow at a steady, slow pace that is manageable for you, and that's totally okay, because you get to decide how successful you are, okay? Right now, I'm growing this business, my coaching and healing, slowly and sustainably, okay, because it needs to be at a pace that I can manage it. I'm doing 1 video a week. I'm not doing 2 or 3. I could grow way faster if I did 2 or 3 videos a week, but I need to be able to hold that capacity, okay? I need to be able to hold that energetically, and I just don't want to tax my system that much, okay? I just want to take on a few clients a week and still be able to do my modeling and still be able to wrap up other loose ends in my life of the person that I used to be, because as you go on this journey, you will start to shift, okay? You'll start to become a different not a different person, you'll start to become more you. You'll start to become more of who you always were without all the overlays. So all the things I found for me, all the things, all the possessions, you know, all the clothes and fucking things that I would constantly acquire to make myself feel more like me and all the different aspects of me, I don't feel like I need them anymore. So I'm just getting rid of loads of things. I'll actually post a link in the description box below where you can shop my wardrobe, because I'm literally getting rid of like at least 50% of it over the next few months. Like, obviously I'm not, you know, doing it, listing new stuff every day, but just keep an eye on it if you want to. You can shop this. This is cute little vintage play suit. So just get really clear, really honest with yourself, and really fucking fearless, okay? Connect with your desire, connect with your belief systems, flip your limiting beliefs, okay? There's too many limiting beliefs in this world. There's too many stories that people tell us about why you won't be successful, about how you need family connections, about how you need a lot of wealth, about how you this, how you do that, okay? Anything that you want to do, any desire that you have, it's for you, okay? There's a reason why you get visions of yourself doing certain things, okay? Because you're remote viewing a future timeline in which that possibility has manifested into reality, because all timelines are possible, all things are possible, all future timelines exist in the multidimensional field, okay? Because time is an illusion, okay? We experience time as a linear dimension or a linear construct because we move through it, what's the word? Consecutively. But time is actually for, you know, 6-dimensional beings. They actually see time. They can actually see time. And it all exists now. Everything is in the ever-present now. So it's all about you connecting to that desire and collapsing time and space to bridge that reality into the now moment, if that makes sense. I mean, it does to me. I hope it does to you. Okay, that's all I'm going to talk about today. If you want to leave your questions in the comment box below. Oh, yes, I did say that I would answer questions from the Instagram poll. Only got a few this time. Okay, let's see. I have to go into the archive because it was like 2 days ago. Archive. I hope it's still there. If it's not, I can hopefully remember some of the questions. Okay, here we go. It's still there. What?
Hey, love. Long time.
Okay, it's there. Okay, so awake King Spirit, this is one of my clients actually, has asked, are you concerned with digital IDs and possibly being locked out of the current financial system? No, because I don't believe that the digital IDs will come about. I don't think we're going to be forced to take them. I think it's going to be like a voluntary thing, much like having a smartphone. Nobody's forced to have a smartphone. It may become difficult to participate in the control grid without having a digital ID, which is why we need to develop alternative systems. And that's already happening. There's too many awake people who know what's going on for us not to develop alternative systems. And the whole metaverse thing, if people are worried about that, metaverse is fucking, it's collapsing on its ass, okay? It's not been successful. And the current financial system needs to die a death, okay? I'm not worried about it, okay? There's going to be a quantum financial reset anyway. That's already underway. It's going to be gold and silver backed. Crypto also cannot be controlled by governments, which is why they had to bring about this whole thing that, you know, those that know, so that they could set up their own digital currency system in time. So, you know, they can't really control crypto. So I think ultimately there's going to be multiple different assets that you can trade. I mean, there already is multiple different assets that people already trade. I mean, gold and silver, stocks and shares, it's not just fiat. So I think we're going to start to see a diversification of the system of exchange, which is going to be really interesting to witness. So being locked out of the current financial system is not a huge concern, because the current financial system is just rife with inflation anyway. So I do recommend that people invest in assets, you know, whether it's gold, silver, property, land, you know, whatever it is that you perceive to be of value, vintage wines, antiques, whatever. Why don't you reply in DM? Probably because your DMs aren't interesting enough. Financial strategy for the end of day. Chris Plow asks, financial strategy for the end of days. I don't believe that we're in the end of days. I believe that we're at the dawn of a great awakening, a new golden age, and it's up to us to start anchoring that in and anchoring, you know, new systems that are in alignment with natural laws. So yeah, in terms of financial strategy, I've also said that, you know, acquire property, for me, I'm acquiring gold and silver. I know Chris Plow is all about crypto, so if you want to know about crypto, go and follow him, because he does some good content on that. I'm not really an expert in crypto. I have some crypto, don't really understand it though. Where is your yoga? Khan Javed asks, we actually asked where is your yoga, but I assume that he means yoga. In my link tree on Instagram, there is a link there to my course, Reclaim Your Crown. If you're watching this on YouTube, obviously you're watching it on YouTube, right? Maybe you're watching it on Odyssey, but there will be a link in the description box below where you can join my course, Reclaim Your Crown, where I teach Kriya Yoga, which is an incredible ascension technology that will activate the process of Hyros Gamos within you, balance your masculine and feminine energies, balance your brain hemispheres. It's a full-on ascension technology. It heals trauma, and, you know, so if you get triggered by stuff, I found that it's really, really healed my triggers. Trishant05 has asked, can I take you out on a date the next time I'm in the UK? I'm not available. And also, I would just like to say, like, nothing against this person, but your profile is set to private. So, you know, if you're going to use Instagram as like a way to pick up women, at least like have a way for them to see like what you're about and like what you're interested in and what you look like have a couple of good selfies up there. Don't have a private profile. Like, no girl is, unless she's like really keen or like, you know, really, really wants to get to know you and you've got a really good avatar. I mean, I can't even see how this person looks in their little avatar. So, you know, that's not the way to pick up women. Like, you would never go on a dating app and ask a girl out on a date if your bio had no description and no pictures. So it's the same thing. Don't have a private profile if you're going to use Instagram to pick up women. Brian Berenson has asked, is it more potent to love life or have a love life? I feel like I've already answered that question in this video. They're the one and the same thing when you're on your highest timeline. Emotional intelligence, and also when it comes to your union just becomes the external mirror of your own integration and your own unification with God's source, by the way. Okay, so your genetic equal or twin flame or whatever you want to call it, divine union partner, like I don't use any of those terms, but if you know, you guys believe in that stuff and you use those terms, that will come when you are in a state of knowing that it's going to come, because you deserve it, because you're good enough, because you know, that's God's promise to you. Like it will come in a way that is so natural when you believe that that's what, you know, that's what's going to happen. It's the same with anything that you're trying to manifest. West of Bluebell Rose, emotional, well, I don't know if it's west of Bluebell something. Emotional intelligence and spiritual depth, the two most essential qualities in a partner, question mark. I mean, if that's what it is, the most essential qualities for you, then yes, everybody has their own thing that they're looking for in a partner. And why two? Why two most essential qualities? Why not 10 essential qualities? Also, I'm not so concerned about a list. Like for me, I look more at like, how do I feel with the person, okay? And if I'm not feeling right with the person, then I have to look at myself and see what is this person mirroring back to me. Okay, Papaya Smasher asks, what does this is my favorite question, what does grid work consist of? Is it like manipulation of the matrix framework? I'm not sure what the matrix framework is. Maybe, I don't know, I'm assuming maybe the matrix framework is some kind of dark grid that's like placed over the planet, or like some Moloch tanks and things like that, harvesting systems. And yes, grid work can collapse those out. Grid work is very similar to, you know, when we do quantum field work and light body architecture healing, where we look at your light body, see where you have any blocks, see where you have maybe cords attaching you to another person, maybe cords that are attaching you to frequency nets of, you know, various yucky things. They could be frequency nets of slavery, frequency nets of you know, like sacrificial energy. There's all kinds of like nasty frequency nets that I've seen people plugged into. So what we do is we unplug them and then we do work on their light body. So we maybe clean out their meridians. We might pull things out, implants out of their chakras that are, you know, causing them to loop in unfavorable circumstances. So grid work is that, but on the planetary body, okay? Because the planetary is a living, breathing, conscious being, and she has chakras just like a human body, and she has ley lines, which are the meridians of the earth, okay? So the grid work works on the meridians of the earth, on the ley lines. So we can send out certain frequencies into those ley lines and collapse out dark systems and collapse out weird implants, or just send loving frequencies that then can be received by people in the vicinity. So you may be doing grid work without even conscious, your human may not consciously know it, but your multidimensional self may be doing work, you know, in the dream space and things like that. So, you know, I've got one particular friend who, her human doesn't know anything about this, but every time she tells me about her dreams, I'm like, she's certainly doing some kind of grid work or something similar. She tends to get pulled in, not pulled, I don't know if she's getting pulled or if she's getting sent or if she's voluntarily going into the underworld, but she's clearing out a lot of black magic that then kind of comes up into our 3D to kind of, we're moving from 3D to 5D now. So into our dimension where we kind of are consciously operating in. You know, black magic from the underworld will kind of come up, and so she goes down there to clear that out. And you know, her conscious 3D human doesn't know how to do that, but in the dream space she knows exactly what to do, and she's kind of cleared black magic out of people, you know, in the dream space and stuff like that. So you know, for me, for example, in my dreams, a lot of the time I go to Sheffield, which is really weird. I used to live there, I went to uni there, and whenever I go there in the dream space, it's always really magical and like has like a very whimsical, like fairy, a lot of fairy energy, very elemental. And so even though I haven't been back there physically that much, I go there a lot in my dreams, and I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing there, but I sense it might be some kind of grid work. Definitely I've been, you know, kind of stuck here in London for longer than is comfortable for me. Usually I come back for like 6 months, year max, but I've been here for longer than a year now. And you know, I had a session with Emily and she kind of told me about some of the grid work that I've been doing here. Not, you do it consciously in the way that, you know, you feel like, okay, I'm here to do this particular actual 3D work and spread consciousness and, you know, talk to people and da-da-da. And it's like a very real, physical, tangible thing. But on a multi-dimensional level, it's actually doing something to the grids. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. If you want to learn more about grid work, my mentor Emily Harris is doing her Oracle course, which is what I trained in. She's doing another round of that very soon, so add her on Facebook, and consider joining that course if you want to learn more about grid work. Somebody's asked, am I Bengali? No, I'm Punjabi, Pathan, Uzbek, Celtic, little bit French. I'm a mix, but mostly Indian, Pakistani. Okay, Abhishek Lizard has asked what type of men you like. I like men who have integrity, who have morals, who have character, who follow through on their word, who are honest, who are loyal, who have a proper balance of masculine, feminine energies, who are mission focused, who are heart centered. All the things that I talk about on my channel, okay? And for me personally, I prefer a man who's about 6'1", 6'2", with long hair. That's my personal preference, but you know, it doesn't have to be, and I don't want to make people feel bad if they're not that. When Mehul 7612 has asked when is my birthday, it's in May. What is my hobby? Somebody asked me that last time as well. I said I do have hobbies. I like making clothes. I love making clothes and sewing, not just because I like fashion, but I just love just the purity of working with the hands and manipulating something and watch it take shape into something else. Kind of that transformational creative process. I just love it. So yeah, and it gets me out of my head as well. I find it very meditative. So definitely, and also I was talking about this with a friend the other day, and she said she's feeling really down and depressed, and I know a lot of people are going through this at the moment. I think the impact of the lockdown are really hitting hard with a lot of people. So if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling depressed, find a creative outlet, whether it's dance, whether it's listening to music, whether it's making music, whether it's pottery, cooking, baking, sewing, making jewelry, painting, being in nature, going for long walks in nature. You've got to find an outlet, okay? Just do what feels good. Take up a hobby, find a creative pursuit. So essential, and will really, really help to get you out of your head and get into the feeling state. So yeah, that's it. And I'm going to say peace out. Love you all. See you in the next video. Bye.